start these things, so I'm just going to jump in. Hey there, I'm Nick, and this is Thought Factory. I work in a factory, and my job can be boring at times. That gives me time to think of interesting things and come to conclusions from my unique perspective. I'll be discussing whatever's on my mind, no script. I'll be beating Bloons Tower Defense 5 levels in the process. Come for the balloons, stay for the commentary. Hopefully, anyway. Until I learn to edit. That's the only scripted part. The rest is, there might be, I have a quote or two that's going to be scripted as well, but that's pretty much it. You know, I'm going to be talking some shit, some bro science, some real science, some fake science. Who knows? I like science, but that's not going to be the majority of these videos. I usually just like talking about stuff that either happened at work or, you know, things that I'm thinking of, or maybe questions that you guys ask me, or whatever the hell I'm come up with, you know. As you guys, this probably happens to everybody here. You probably go through life and things happen, and then it makes you think of other things that have happened, and then you put together all these pieces, and it's like, it gives you somewhat of a coherent narrative, and it's just kind of interesting. Life's interesting in that way, where you get to piece it all together from all these slightly different things that you learn from people. And if you're not doing that, then you got to figure that out, because put yourself around the right people. And if because the thing is sometimes, like, you're not around the right people, and those people, they don't have any kind of unique perspectives, and they're just droning on about the same shit that everybody else is droning on about. But I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of news. I don't watch a lot of TV. I barely watch Netflix and all that stuff. I've been running through the Marvel series with my girlfriend over the past, like, probably 8 weeks. And we've been through like 20. I never watched that shit my whole life. Never watched Harry Potter. I've seen Harry Potter up until probably like the fourth one. But I haven't seen all the Harry Potters. I haven't seen the Game of Thrones series. I haven't seen... what's the other one with the fucking Hobbit and shit? Lord of the Rings. I haven't seen the Lord of the Rings series. There's been a lot of stuff that I don't know why I just never really cared to get into, and I probably has something to do with having ADHD and just low attention span. And Star Wars, never really cared for that, but now I'm getting into the Marvel series, and I'm not gonna lie, my favorite movie so far in the Marvel series is by far Guardians of the Galaxy 2, the Volume 2. I liked all of them. Every single movie was actually really good. I'm not gonna lie that, like, the way that the story writing and just the overall format of the movies, and just like, it's really captivating. I'm not gonna lie, it's super captivating. But that Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I Volume 2, I had a really great time with that one. I've watched it probably like 4 or 5 times now, just over the past like 2 3 weeks, just because it's in that last scene, the last like 45 minutes. I'm not gonna give away any spoilers, but that's a huge recommendation for me. If anybody hasn't seen that, go watch the Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, because Guardians of the Galaxy 2 won't make any sense without Guardians of the Galaxy 1. But I haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3 yet. I'm probably in for a treat. You guys let me know in the comments. Yeah, I'll move on here a little bit. I'm gonna do 1,000 subscriber giveaway for anybody who is feeling like they want to subscribe and get a little bit more of the content. I play Bloons Tower Defense 5, and I mean, I don't really talk much about the game, but I will, here and there. I like to just chat about stuff. I get distracted really easily. I pre-recorded. I've beat these levels previously, like, because I can't talk very well and play the game at the same time. I'll be honest, I don't know how the streamers do it. I don't know if there's any streamers that are actually really good at games while they're playing, like, or while they're streaming. Like, I can imagine, because, like, you're playing a game. Like, I'll be honest, guys, I don't watch any streams. I don't even watch gaming content. This is just, the only game I actually play. So, yeah, bear with me. This is me just fumbling through trying to make a channel on YouTube, and you're gonna see I'm more of a quantity over quality at the beginning type of guy. I just want to get the routines and the habits down and just get into something. and I'm like up to 80 plus videos now, so I feel like I'm actually starting to figure out a process to this. Um, as with anything in life, you start to, you might trip over something, and then it's like, oh, you just keep tripping over things again, and then you figure something out a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and then eventually, after what I call it, iterative design. That's my term for it, for any kind of product that goes through sort of iterations. And I mean, I'll give you guys an example because this is the example I use when I talk to people in real life about this stuff. It's the John Deere factor, and I mean, yeah, they have a tractor, but I mean, it's the John Deere factor, meaning like, how the hell did John Deere figure out how to make such good equipment, right? Yeah, they got a good brand, and like, there's a lot of people that like their shit. There's other companies, but I'm from North America, Canada specifically, so I mean, that's like probably the biggest, most recognizable brand. I'm not sure worldwide, but definitely for North America. If anybody else can come up with a better brand, let me know. But or a bigger brand, but that's the biggest brand. We used to have a one where I'm from. Massey Ferguson used to be huge, but they went defunct back in, I don't know, the 80s or the 90s or whatever it was. So, um, where I'm going with this is the John Deere factor, um, like iterative design, and it's like, how do they know? How do they know how to make a great product? It's a good question, right? I like asking all these questions to myself, and then I usually come up with somewhat of an answer. It might take me a little bit of time, but I asked myself this question one day, and then, I don't know, months later or whatever it was, my brain spit out an answer and goes, fuck. It's just hundreds of years of experience. Like, I don't know how John Deere started. I actually want to get into that one day. Look into that and actually do a deep dive on how that company started in its origins. But I imagine the guy's name was John, and probably had something to do with deer. No, I'm just kidding. I actually don't know, but the guy's name's obviously John Deere, I imagine. Um, and he probably had an idea for like some sort of simple equipment. Um, like over like it might have worked that year. Like that year, he's like, yeah, this works, and then the next year he might have made a slight improvement, and it's like, oh yeah, that works now, and then maybe he made another slight improvement. It's like, nope, that doesn't work. Okay, go back to the drawing board on the first. Let's go back to the first iteration or the original thing that worked before this one, and then you just keep moving from there, right? Slight iteration, slight iteration, slight iteration until you get to what we have today, and like, I mean, that's kind of how humans evolved too, right? It wasn't just like we just randomly showed up one day and were dropped from a spaceship, unless you want to believe that. I tend to believe in science and evolution, but if you believe in, we came from aliens, that's cool too. I don't know if there's any evidence for that. We're definitely odd, but we have a lot of similarities with other species. Like if you look at whales, for example, uh, they have a similar bone structure in their fins as we have in our hands. You can look it up if you're interested. Maybe I'll put a link somewhere, but it's like okay, so you look at like a cat's, like they got four legs, but we have four limbs, right? So they have four limbs, we have four limbs. And if you looked at like the amount of bones that they have in their arm, they might have different bones, right? They might have a different bone length, but it's like same type of thing, right? Look, if you look at a cat's paw or a dog's paw, it's like they have the soft pad on it, right? They have five spots on it. Like it's five pad spots, right? If you look at how many claws they have, it's five. Like same thing as we have fingers, right? It's like all these odd little things that are like, well, there's definitely evidence if you just looked around us at there's evidence that would lead one to believe that we all could have come from a similar origin, right? Now, the cause of that origin is unknown, right? Like it could have been from a fucking spaceship and an alien. I again tend not to believe that, but you don't really don't know, and I think I'm comfortable with not really fully knowing. I mean, there is the whole, I want to get into this more one day. I want to do quotes from this guy, but Darwin, Charles Darwin actually had a really interesting theory about like the evolution of the eye, and he's like it was a mystery that perplexed him, right? And I think it makes sense why it perplexed him. It's like, okay, this is the hypothesis here, is like, or this is the idea, is like, it makes sense to have an eye once you have one, but how did you get to having an eye from millions of years or hundreds of thousands of years of evolution? Like thousands of generations of animal, or like, you know what I mean? If does that make any sense to anybody out there? Is like, it makes sense once you have it, the usefulness of it and being able to see. It's like a really good sense, right? But it doesn't really make sense how we got to that. Like, how did it start? Did it start with like a little pimple on like a friggin', I don't know, like let's say a mole, right? Like I think we came from. I heard somebody say something like we came from shrews. I don't even know what the hell a shrew actually looks like. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Shrew animal. Yeah. Okay. It's like a little rat looking thing, a marsupial. But it's a mammal. So yeah. Basically it's a little mole. Shrews are small mole-like mammals classified in the order Eulipolipha. Eulipolipha. I don't know how to say that really, but um anyway, the whole point that I'm getting at is that like a shrew, obviously, like a shrew or mole, like they have really good noses, right? They're really good at smelling real close to the ground. It might make sense, like maybe it starts out as like just like a couple of like pimple like dots on the head, right? But it's like it's not clear how that ends up getting turned into like what we see now as an eye, right? And it's like that mystery really seemed to fascinate someone like Darwin. And I want to read more about this. I just, this was just something I read one day and I go, fuck, that's super interesting, because it's like just an interesting point, right? He's like yeah, like once you're there, it's obvious. It's super obvious that having the eyes are useful because you can see and observe the world around you. But even like within different mammal species or different animals, you have different eyes, right? Like dogs. I've heard that dogs don't have very good color vision, right? But obviously they got great noses, so it's like a trade-off, right? Um, it might be more clear that like having a good sense of smell might be more advantageous in certain circumstances than having a good set of eyes. But that's one thing that humans are really good with, right? I think humans have the best eyesight of any animal other than birds. Like there's some birds that have better eyesight than humans. And I mean that does kind of make sense, right? Because like look how high up they are in the air, and they have to be able to uh observe the ground from their vantage point and sift out information, right? Uh but there is a, like, whole point there too, where it's like, bird brain. They're kind of they're not as smart as us, and some people might make the claims, but it's like, well, they don't have tools like us. They don't have societies like us. Again, somebody else might be able to make the point that maybe they do, but I don't see it anywhere. I mean, like literally we can change the environment around us. We live in artificial houses, right? That we created. We don't have to live in caves. We don't have to live in nests. Like, well, birds do create the nests, but we can change the world around us. Like imagine creating a cave, right? That's what we do. We create these little caves that have these houses that have these little rooms, and the entire environment around us is pretty much artificial. So like you're listening to this either on a phone, on a TV, or on a computer. It's a fucking miracle, right? I've never heard of a bird doing that. So anyway, hopefully that hits the fucking point home for you. But this is like, just going back to the point of like Charles Darwin And he rose a very interesting point about the eye. Like, how? And he couldn't figure it out. I'm not sure if anybody else has looked into this recently, but if anybody knows anything more about that, that's, put a link in my in the comments or something, because that's fucking interesting as shit. I gotta read more into that myself, but again, thoughts from the factory. These are things that I think of on a day-to-day basis at the factory. I probably haven't thought of that one in a while, but for whatever reason, my memory brought it up now. And I'm really good at jumping off points. I have a shit ton of jumping off points where I just go from one point to the other, and you guys will probably at some point be a little bit annoyed because I didn't finish a certain thought. But if you put a comment into the description, or sorry, a comment, and you want me to talk about something specific, I'll add it to my list of I have a list of opinions that nobody asked for. But I guess I should make a list of opinions people asked for. That's another list, because right now I have a list of opinions nobody asked for. There's just things. Sorry, a little bit sick. Getting over a sick. I don't know if I'm getting over it. It's been a week. I still feel about the same. Throat's a little bit dry. Eating healthy. Oh, I got a quote for you. I should spit it out. Or I should save it. Nah, I'll spit it out. I can always reuse these quotes at other points. But maybe, okay, so I'll tell you who it was at the end. Shoot. Whoa. Hold on. Here we go. I got this thing tagged wrong in my notes. Whoa. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. No. Okay, that's not fucking working. Anyway, I'm just gonna spit it out. Maybe I led you to believe basketball was a God-given gift and not something I worked for every single day of my life. I'll give you one guess. Michael Jordan. He's the man. I don't actually even really like basketball that much. I got cut from my grade 7 basketball team, and it really annoyed the shit out of me, so I'm actually not the biggest fan of basketball at all. But I do appreciate anybody who's high level at what they do. And Michael Jordan, well, he's one of the best, right? Sure, it could be debated. Anything could be debated. But I think it's pretty close to objective fact. No, I guess that's why you could debate it. But just about all the, like, if you had to poll all of Michael Jordan's peers and all like modern players and stuff of basketball, then I bet people would put him as number one, right? And I think that's a real testament, other than like having records and stuff. Records are one thing, right? But if your peers would all nominate you, and I mean peers meaning like he played with, I don't know, 1,000 other players in the NBA, or maybe, I don't know how many players are in the NBA, maybe 300 or 400. I'm not sure current. Probably, let's say 1,000. Let's say 1,000 NBA players he played with over the course of his lifetime, against, with, all of those things together. People coming in and out of the league, all that shit. And like, if all those people, if you had to poll all of them, and let's say like 700 of them or 800 of them said Michael Jordan, well, it's probably Michael Jordan, right? He's probably the best. So, it's just interesting. Again, the wide range of emotions for me today. Friggin' yawning. I wanted to get a video out today. I was had a really good day at work, so I was doing something. It kind of reminds me of something like this, It's like, maybe I led you to believe basketball was a God-given gift and not something I worked for every single day of my life. It's in a commercial, by the way. I'll throw it in the description. It's called it's not my, maybe it's my fault. It's a Nike commercial. And it's one of those things where like he he's saying maybe it's his fault that he led everybody to believe that he wasn't, self-made, right? Like there's tons of stories about Michael Jordan and about how I think he got cut from his like the first high school basketball team. And it's like, imagine that coach. That coach like probably kicking himself. But I guess like you got to look at it from this perspective too. Is like if he didn't get cut from that basketball team, then maybe he wouldn't have become Michael Jordan. So I don't think he, should have kept him. I think he should have got rid of him just like he did, because look what we got to have. We got to have Michael Jordan. So one thing I do want to say, I'm going to comment on the game here. This Bloom Tower Defense 5 game that I'm playing on Daffodils. I'm playing Impoppable. The difficulty is Impoppable. The reason I normally only do wins, this isn't a win. This is actually a loss. But it's going to be right next door to a win. And the reason I chose this quote was because don't get fucking lazy, boys and girls. Don't get fucking lazy, It's a real problem in society. People getting lazy. And I thought that I could squeeze out a win without using all the money that I had. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, I'm gonna win. Of course I'm gonna win. Impoppable. I'm good at this game. Decent at this game. For anybody who's watching, I don't know, maybe you guys are way better at this game, but I think I'm pretty good. Feels like I'm pretty good. How would I know? I don't have anybody to compare myself to. I would like to do Bloons battles at some point just to test my skill set against other people's skill sets, and then maybe do some videos about that kind of stuff too, because I like doing videos. This is fun. Making YouTube content, super interesting. It's a fun little way to break up my life too. I do a lot of stuff that I like doing. So this is just one way to break up some things where, I've been working really hard on starting a business. And you can work really hard on that stuff, but then every once in a while you need a break. And like this is a good little break, right? I get to play a game, make some videos where I win, and then I get to do some commentary and talk over top of them. And I have to organize myself in a way where like, I go and find a quote. Like I didn't have this quote before. Probably I figured it out probably about 5 or 10 minutes before the video, before I turned on the video and just started talking about this stuff. And then I didn't plan when I was going to throw it in. I just threw it in, right? I just got to a point where I was like, let's just see what happens here. So it was all on the fly. I like doing things on the fly. Obviously, getting the quote, I had to do some pre-planning for that. And I'm organizing. I'm figuring out an organizational process here to kind of streamline my video making process. But fuck, I'm yawning again. I should probably tell you guys it's like 2:41 a.m. for me in the morning. Making a video in the middle of the night. After I got home from work, showered, spent an hour and a half cooking. I made a big giant salad. Eating healthy is fucking hard. So and that goes back to all this fucking Michael Jordan shit. It's like, you gotta work hard every single day of your life. That's now, like, basketball might not be your sport. For me, basketball is definitely not my sport. Like I said, I got cut from my grade 7 basketball team, and that was really demoralizing. But now I have a goal to dunk a basketball, so that's, I don't know, demoralizing, encouraging. I'm not sure. I think sometimes people might think they're demoralizing you when in reality, if you really want it, then you'll sit down and put in the work. I know for me, I've adapted my whole life to go after some of my dreams. I was telling this to my girlfriend the other day. I said, I think a lot of the times people look at it as like, what do they want? and how do they get there. And I think what they often forget is like what they have to sacrifice to get there. Like conscious decisions. You guys, as you'll go through life, you'll have these moments where it's like, you'll know what it is that you have to do. And what you'll have to do might be like, maybe you don't watch, like a lot of people like watching, like I like watching YouTube videos too, but like, you know, or, for me, a big one is I've given up smoking weed, and that's a big one for me. I'm not saying forever, but it's just like, I haven't been off it for probably about a month now. I like it. I really enjoy it a lot. And it's like, well, how bad do I want to do some of the things that I want to do in my life? Right? So that's just something to take from this. But I'm just going to comment on the game here for a second because I am watching it actually this time. Normally I just go off into space and just start talking. But like look at how much cash I got. 60,000. I got 60,000 points. Like I could have put a sun god. I could have done all kinds of shit, right? Just to ease the process here and actually win. And yet I end up losing just because of stupidity. Just not spending the money. Just thinking literally like, yeah, you know what? I'll put this ninja monkey down. That'll fix everything, right? Yeah, no, dude. Like you got to be smarter with this shit. But I will say, this is the first time I ever actually used a submarine. So I mean, maybe not the first time, but it's the first time I actually remember. I've played this game a little bit in my past, but pretty much most of it I've played in the past, like since last November, so 5 months now, 6 months now. All of the stuff that I've learned has mostly come from then. Fuck, you guys want? It's crazy. It's like I spent like 3 months playing one level. 3 months playing one level, and now all of those experiences are transferable to this. So I lose this level with $72,000. Like, just watch this. It's kind of embarrassing. It is embarrassing. It's not kind of. It is embarrassing. But I'm not an easy person to embarrass because I just really don't care. I mean, what do? You just fucking try again, right? The next video you guys will see, I fucking destroyed it. And it's like I had some insurance units, probably a little bit overkill, right? But you got to do what you got to do. So, okay. Bye now, guys.